Hey out there, everybody. Jason here. You guys know those episodes that are maybe a little hard to take humanity-wise? Well, we tell you these stories so that we can all have a clearer perspective on our own lives. So don't worry. You're gonna be just fine.
Hello. Hola.
Oh man, I was about to totally kick into La Bamba, and then I remembered the only words I remember from La Bamba
La 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 bamba.
are La Bamba. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, kind of like how.
That's because it's in Spanish, man.
I mean,
Although that was Willy
that's.
Bully.
I mean,
not La Bamba.
when I was a kid, I faked the fuck out of La Bamba, like to the point where I thought I knew the words, and I had just been making words up for it the whole time.
Nice.
Only part I know is Yariba, Yariba.
Uh huh.
See
There's a
now
lot of
who's
that.
the racist one?
I don't know.
It's still Chris. Chris is always and always will be the racist one. So,
I'll wear that.
welcome
crown.
to probably the greatest motherfucking episode of See No, Hear No, Speak No.
That's a lot to live up to, man. We've had a couple of rockers in the UFO conspiracy, moitas, and other shit categories.
Okay, so you bitch at me last week because I just always say riveting for you. And this week, I really fucking give you a little something extra and special. And now it's, I don't know if I can live up to that.
You know what you did. You can't just take the
Well, you
bar
know,
from 0
Jason.
to 1,000.
They can always
Oh,
email
man.
us at see no, hear no, speak no pod at gmail.com. Just
They-
to let
they
them know
could.
how bad you just screwed over how bad you just screwed over Chris and put him up
You
on
know-
that ledge, you know.
They could, but we already know that they won't. So my hopes have not been up to receive an email for quite some time. I don't give a shit what you guys do with your computers. Just, have a nice
listening.
day, I guess.
At least press
Oh,
the damn
man.
follow button if you're going to keep listening. Shit.
Yeah, we love you guys though. We're having fun. We're having a good time.
No
you
doubt.
know?
No doubt.
Yeah. So
Where did that new light come from? Morocco?
yeah, he joined the Facebook group. He ain't one of my friends. I only know 2 people in Morocco, and he ain't one of them.
Ooh, I bet he's got some fire hash.
I bet he's gonna start hitting us up for money because it's probably just a scam.
He's a
I think
prince
that's
then, huh?
Nigeria.
Yeah.
I mean, I would hope that he would have done just the tiniest bit of cursory research, and he would have found that he is digging in an empty well.
Indeed.
Hey guys, we have a Patreon thing. It's where people who like the things that they're listening to donate. Pennies a day could feed me coffee,
It really
and
could.
that'll keep me awake to edit these fucking episodes. Because I hope you guys have noticed, I've actually started editing episodes. Like, so you guys notice how Chris doesn't sound as fucking like hacking cough sick as he usually does?
Hey.
Yeah, it's because I've been cutting that shit out your ears.
Hey.
You notice how you're not hearing Chris just really fucking take that long, nice, fucking hard pull of his goddamn vaporizer? Yeah, that's because I'm cutting it out of your ears.
You're even cutting my lighter flicks. How are the people supposed to know that I'm sitting here smoking the whole time? Jesus.
You know what?
Seriously.
Instead of having the lighter flick there being like click 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 click.
It's
From
like
now on, I want you to be like, "Excuse me, everyone, I am lighting a cigarette," and we'll just leave that in. That way, they still know.
Yeah, but the sound effects make them feel like they're really here, or there.
No one
or
wants to be
there.
really here.
No,
Your
none
truck
of
has
us
got
are
to
even
smell like
here.
ass. Your truck has got to smell like ass. My room smells like dog ass. And Robert's in his garage in fucking Tennessee. No one wants to be in Tennessee.
Why would you assume my truck smells like ass,
It
sir?
is beautiful here.
I assume that your truck smells like ass because I assume that literally every cab of every big rig smells like ass.
Actually, everyone who gets in my truck, which are many of my coworkers, get in my truck and say, "Wow, it doesn't smell like cat in here or ass." And I'm like, "Yeah, because I fucking
Do
clean."
they specifically say or ass? Because
Well-
it sounded like you tacked that on at the end just to make a point.
They don't specifically say the word ass, but they'll say or anything because I don't know. How do you do that? And I'm like, you just fucking clean, man. You gotta vacuum. You gotta fucking pick your shit up.
Okay, but that just proves my point that, okay, you may be an anomaly, but literally every other trucker you've had in your truck is like, how do you do that? How do you make your truck not smell like ass?
Good
Which
point.
means theirs does.
Good point. Yeah. Yeah, that
So I
will cook
apologize.
A lot of
my
them smell
truck.
like curry.
Wow, Rob's starting off with as the racist of the show this time, huh?
He
I
is
mean, he's a
Mexican,
truck stopper,
not
too.
Indian. So, okay, so this is Chris's week, and I'm excited for this episode because Chris told me about it, kinda. Like, he didn't give me any specifics, names, or anything. He told me, like, kind of like the basic plot line of it, and I think I remember it, but the brain is a fucking crazy thing. I could just be remembering a commercial I saw when I was a kid. Who the fuck knows?
Indeed.
But as
Oh,
far
so
as I
you
can...
do.
As far as I can confidently recall, this is going to be a good show. I'm excited for it. I want to hear it. And Chris, the floor and the airwaves and anybody's juicy ear holes that are listening right now are yours for the taking, sir.
Oh, you know I like those.
Who doesn't, man? Come on.
Orifices. With the juiciness. All right.
Okay, that was our one allotted use of the word orifices for the entirety of our podcast.
I made it sound old world Greek so that it wouldn't be quite as nasty.
I don't think that's what you did.
That's what I was going for. So
I almost want to say you may have intensified the nasty.
it made you really think about what the fuck did I just say? Oh,
That's
ew.
right, but
That's
I
what he said.
don't think I'm the one to by the king of podcasting. His name is Frank, and he lives in my shoes.
Is he the guy that fucking sent us the first email when we signed up for being cool podcast guys? And he's like, "Hey, I'm Frank. Want some help on being cool podcast guys?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"No, Frank. What I need is a satchel because, you know, I'm in the middle of nowhere and, you know, I want to have fun." Fuck
I mean,
Frank.
girls do just want to have fun. So, I mean, that's all they really want.
I set you
It's some
up for
fun.
that. Whatever.
And they want their papa don't preach, too.
You know what? I've heard that too, Rob. They I probably heard that more than the want to have fun part. And just the fact that they want their papas don't preach, it sounds like it's just terrible grammar. But when you really think about it,
Indeed.
it's fucking terrible grammar.
Well, I do live in Tennessee, so I get a pass.
You get 3 a week. And that doesn't just include this show. It includes your life. So, but we are
I'm
on,
like 5 years behind on that one, then.
Okay, because I was about to say we're gonna be on the take a penny, leave a penny system here, and you're just gonna have to let us know.
You got some
We're gonna have to trust you
restitutions
with
to
it.
pay.
So
Back.
you're gonna be leaving a whole lot of pennies, Rob. Chris, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. First, I want to apologize to the kids out there for the rattling and background noise on my end because I got no AC, truck problems right now, and yeah, I'm not going to go into it. So that's what the deal is with that.
And I will try my goddamnedest to lower that impact of it without making Chris sound like a fucking robot. I'll try my best.
We'll see. If I have to sound like a robot, at least try to make me sound like an evil robot. Please.
Okay, on one condition. Right now, right this second, you say, beep boop beep, I am evil Chris, beep boop.
Wait, do I have to say it like I want the evil robot to sound? Because that's...
No, you say it like Chris.
Oh, like beep boop beep. I am evil robot. Boop beep.
That's right, because that is exactly how your normal sentence cadence works out.
I am evil robot. Jason.
You know what? I think we're dicking around a little too much.
Whatever.
And I think we need to take this a little more seriously because, I mean, you know what? That's a lie. I don't think we need to do shit.
That's
you know
true, but this is a serious episode, so I will let you be the judge of your behavior as we go along.
Is it serious enough to warrant like a hey guys, fucking some shit's coming?
No.
No. So there's no like, and I don't know. I just think we should really throw that in when rape's involved.
We were making fun of dead fetuses 3 episodes ago. I think we're going to be okay.
No, I mean, yeah, I guess they were dead fetuses. But, I mean, they were never alive babies. That should count for something, right?
I mean, it's fine with me. I mean, but you're not trying to win me over, Jason.
I'm honestly not trying to win anyone over.
And we'll never know.
I'm trying to win
the kids out there
at the game of life. That fucking board game is an asshole, and it keeps making me bald and having way too many kids, and then I can't afford to send any of them to fucking college.
Nope.
And then I just end up throwing the fucking board in the garbage, and now I'm like buying fucking game of life games like 12 times a week.
So obnoxious.
So
it's a bad habit.
Mr. or Monsieur Trismegistus BarriosThe3rd.com. The floor is yours, sir.
Gracias. So this time we have a 2-for-1, boys and girls. We have a 2-for-1, and so the shit that I'm gonna skip over is just the little bullshit that we might normally throw in, but it's nothing that's really substantial to the actual stories. Just so that I can get through it all in one shot.
The people out there wouldn't need to know that stuff for them to tell their friends this story.
Right.
And for the story to fully impact.
Exactly.
In other words.
Exactly.
Sweet.
So yeah, this one should be fairly easy to remember too. Okay, so it's actually kind of, well, the first part of it anyway is kind of close to home for me. And my brother, who when I found out this is what it was, I had asked him did he remember watching this movie back in the day. So back in the day, my mom used to, like all parents, they watch what the fuck they want to watch when they're home from work on the TV, right? So we're all sitting down eating dinner, and my mom wants to watch this fucking Lifetime movie called I Know My First Name is Steven. Right, and I didn't remember that that's what the name of it was at the time until I talked to my brother, and then he looked it up. Until I saw this fucking documentary, and then I backtracked it. But anyway, my brother totally remembers watching this because for whatever reason it impacted us differently, but he remembers it like the back of his hand, just like I do. So anyway, this story was the first time I had ever heard of this extremity that a person could go, because up until this point, for me anyway, my mom didn't like really stress what people would do with you if they kidnapped you, right? She's just like,
it's just you don't want that to happen because then you're taken away from your family.
Stranger danger,
yeah. Danger usually means fucking you're going to be hurt some kind of way, but kids have no idea, no way to fathom the evil that adults can do, right? Or it's sometimes even other kids.
If we had to explain it to them so that they could really get the full scope of it, we would just literally fucking scar every child on earth.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. yeah. You don't tell an 8-year-old the Junko story. That's not okay. That's not gonna get your point across correctly.
Although if you're a parent and you want to play it for them, go for it. All the plays we get, they help, man. Come on. Play it for your kids. Just see what happens. Like, and just say that they did it, and that way there's no culpability. You're fine.
There's no culpability. You're fine. So, okay, let me go ahead and... So, we're going to talk about that story first that went along with that movie. I know my first name is Steven.
My name is Steven.
Yep. Mm-hmm. This is the story of serial kidnapper and rapist Kenneth Parnell. I don't know how else you would want to say that. He didn't actually murder anyone, so that's what he did.
Yeah. That's, I mean, if he kidnapped and raped a bunch, then...
Oh, and held captive.
This show has just completely destroyed my love of breakfast cereal, by the way.
What do you mean?
I can't stop thinking. Every time I pour like a bowl of Cheerios, I just see a bunch of like looped around flaccid Andre penises.
Oh, nice. You know, the King Vitamin, I don't know if you guys remember the cereal King Vitamin, but for some reason that cereal always looked so strangely generic to me that it was kind of creepy, like that weird king on the front of the box, and it wasn't quite Captain Crunch, but it wasn't quite...
Yeah, like they didn't put enough thought into it to make him interesting.
Yeah.
They were like, we need a something here.
We need the king of all cereals now. This, but we're not going to put marshmallows.
That's what he was. He was certainly the king of all cereals.
Right.
Wink.
So, yeah, that's what Kenneth Parnell did. So let's go.
He was the king of all cereals?
Yeah, he probably had King Vitamin in his house being all fucking creepy and shit.
He would pour a bowl for himself, and every time he would take a bite, he would go, "My liege."
My liege. So, September 26, 1931 to January 21st, 2008, lived this man, Kenneth Eugene Parnell. And he was born in Amarillo, Texas. I'm going to skip past his crazy story. It's reported, although that he was also molested as a child. And he just had it was a rough upbringing. It wasn't excruciating. It wasn't, it wasn't anything crazy, super crazy. It was pretty rough.
I think we've talked about before on the show, and if we haven't, or if we have, I'm sorry, because I'm about to kind of do it again. I'll keep it short, though.
Please do.
People that are molested as children, I've known quite a few in my life. I've even dated some. It does not give you carte blanche to fuck other people up. Like, I hate when we hear someone's story like this and be like, yeah, and did you hear? He was fucked up real bad as a kid too. And I'm like, well, I've known, like I said, quite a few people who were molested, some even seriously over, quite a bit of time. And they were all very fucking normal people that didn't kidnap or rape anyone.
It does happen, much like the children of many of these murder victims and children of some of these killers as well, or family members of some of these killers. It doesn't have to be a hereditary thing. It doesn't have to be a factor of brought on by a factor of trauma, but sometimes it can be, obviously, and sometimes it just motherfucker is just physiologically, his brain isn't the same as ours.
Right.
So,
right, exactly. It doesn't matter where you're from or who you are. Anyone can become a superhero. Indeed.
And some people are born with it, and some people wind up in a terrible accident and, wake up with, crazy powers and stuff. So, hint, hint. So, yeah, December 4th, 1972... this guy, he abducted a boy by the name of Steven Stainer. Hence the name of the movie and the book, written by this and all of that. I know my first name is Steven because when he was... Damn it, my truck shut off. I forgot to rev it. Son of a bitch, nipple. All right, hang on. Sorry.
Yep.
Actually, I
All right,
can let
Rob,
it go
give
for a
us
little
some-
bit. It's
give
nice
us
and
some-
cool in here. I'll start it in a little bit
Okay.
when it starts to get
Well,
hot
then,
again.
Rob, just be thinking about some Chris starting his truck music, because you're in charge of that too.
Oh. Oh, yeah.
And if you just busted out with CNC Music Factory, I would be okay with that.
I think you're on the right track.
Mhm.
Or a groove is in the heart. I like that. Anyway, okay, moving on. So, yeah, when Steven was found, or that's really not the way I would put it, but we're just going to go with that for now. When the police asked him his name, the first thing he said is, well, I know my first name is Steven. Okay, so, moving on. Steven was the third of 5 children. He had an older brother, Carrie, who came out first, and then it was a sister, and then it was Steven and 2 more sisters. So, yeah, he, one day, while he was on his way home from school, he was 7 years old, he was approached by a man named Irvin Edward Murphy. Now, this guy was a co-worker of Parnell. They both worked in Yosemite National Park. And Parnell, somehow being a smooth talker, I guess, convinced this guy that he was an aspiring minister. Right? So he gave him a bunch of religious pamphlets and told him to go out and recruit a young boy.
Okay.
For, I don't know. That's really just as far as that whole story goes. He doesn't really, he doesn't give his, in any of the reports, they don't give his exact words. But,
but it was a ruse to this other guy. It wasn't him saying, "Hey, go find me some young boys to fuck."
Yeah. This guy, at first, this guy was truly, what's the word I'm searching for? Taken over
into the whole God thing.
Yeah. He was confused. Oh, well, not confused. Yeah, he was very confused.
Bamboozled.
He was bamboozled. That's a good one. There you go.
Hoodwinked.
So, yeah, we're gonna call him EE because he's Edward or Irvin Edward. Anyway, he was described by other people as being naive and things of that nature, simple-minded,
right. easily controlled.
Easily, yeah, all of the above. So, yeah, he convinced him that he was a minister, and of course, being a man of God, he couldn't possibly be doing anything wrong with these boys. So he had him go by where all the kids were getting out of school and pass out pamphlets asking if any of the children's parents would like to donate some stuff to the church.
Right.
So he does this. He finds a boy who says yes, because the Stainer's parents were pretty religious. And he says, yes, of course, my mom would probably like to donate. So the man, he asks, okay, well, can you take me to your mother? I'll give you a ride home and all that fun stuff. And he didn't approach him in a car. He approached him on foot. And then so when he signaled, Parnell comes rolling around the corner in a white, what the hell was it? White Buick, and scooped him up.
Okay, I swear to, I thought you were going to say panel van, and I was going to ask if that's where it came from.
Free candy spraying it on the side.
No, that was probably Dean Coral. Remember, he was the candy man.
I'm not even trying to not joke right now. It's like your recounting of this is getting just fucking so much more unsettling, that and it's not that I feel like I shouldn't make jokes about it, because EE's a fucking asshole son of a bitch cunt nugget, and our buddy there Parnell is that times dog shit,
Indeed.
But it's so, God, like, because I mean, I could remember being a kid and just being so fucking terrified that something like that would happen to me.
You and me
and
both.
Just thinking about this kid being like, yeah, you guys can bring me to my mom and we'll give you some stuff for your church and stuff. Yeah. And just not even fucking, not having no clue at all what the fuck is about to happen to him.
After
And
going
it's-
to
Oh, you
Mardi
see,
Gras,
that would have never worked on me. I would have told
yeah?
him to go fuck himself in his church.
Oh, it wouldn't
Even
work
at
for
7, but
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have worked on me either. I definitely did not go against or get into anything with anybody else unless my parents were right there. But no, man, I like a lot of kids, and this is a terrible thing because it's not something that you could have prevented as a parent or as
Right.
anyone trying to think ahead or plan for scenarios and shit. If you're a religious person, you don't teach that to your children as being something that other people can use to prey on you. You know what I mean?
Right. You don't teach it as a weapon.
Exactly.
And I mean, I as well, I actually had a very short run-in with some fucking really weird, creepy dude when I was walking home from the bus stop one day. And he did ask me, like, directions to fucking Sam's Club, which is, like, I don't know, 6 blocks down the street from my house. I told him how to get there. There's one turn to get there. And he's like, oh, well, can you come take a ride with me and maybe show me?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm good. I'm going to go home. I'm going to fucking eat some Captain Crunch and watch
Live
some,
another day. Jesus
whatever
Christ.
the fuck,
Seriously?
But I was just thinking about that, and it really, it's terrifying, but kind of funny about how many absolute strangers I had gotten cars with and went home with in my 20s.
Right. Right. Yeah, that happens.
and never in a good state of mind, ever.
No.
So I'm sorry. I didn't want to railroad you. I just
No, it's very
wanted
valid.
to
No,
really
that's okay.
get across how, like, I don't know, like how close to home this hits, like, to me, and that's the closest I ever got to being in any kind of danger whatsoever,
Dude,
ever.
wait till the
So
rest
it's
of
got
this
to be
story,
resonating
though.
with lots of other people.
Because, like you said, you were paranoid as a child, and so was I, because I listened to what the hell my mom said. You know what I mean? And I was one of those kids that had to be. You had to prove it to me in some kind of way, or make me understand it in a different way than just telling me don't do it. You have to show me why don't do it, right? So when I realized all kinds of shit, is when it really settled. However I learned it, that's how it had to be, and then it settled in my head from then on. And after seeing this movie, oh my God, my paranoia went up like times 10, and so did my sisters, and so did my brothers, and just this shit fucked me up as a like not in a bad way. Like it opened my eyes and made me look at things maybe a little more with a little more of a dirty scrutinous filter.
Right. Well, you have to be a skeptic to everyone until they prove their intentions are true otherwise.
Right. And I'm generally a happy kid and outgoing, and I'll say hi and bullshit with anybody who wants to say, oh, you have such beautiful kids, and to my mom and shit like that, so anyway, this story is fucking crazy to me, and I honestly, I thought I was kind of going to it, peeling through it a little fast, so your cut in there was valid.
This is good. This is good. This is good.
All right, so so believing they're both men of God, Stephen, without blinking an eye, hops into the car, thinking he's going to be taken home to his house to talk to his mom, who's waiting there for him. And instead, he's driven about 100 miles away to a cabin
Jesus.
in the Yosemite Park area.
What the fuck is a 7-year-old doing walking home from school alone? What is this, fucking communist Russia?
See?
1972.
Throwback. Yep, it was 1972, man. I don't know. There's
Well,
always
he wasn't
been killers.
hitchhiking, though.
No.
He wasn't traveling the country. He was walking home from school. I did that my entire childhood.
Yeah, yeah, I did too. I don't think I did it quite that young, but I mean, with my brother, yeah, definitely. My sister and I were
Same.
easily that young. But yeah. So okay, so incidentally, this cabin that of Parnell's that he was taken to was only a few hundred feet from his paternal, I believe, his paternal grandfather's house. So he was just
What? Wait,
right there.
wait, the kid's paternal grandfather or
Yes, the
Parnell's?
child's paternal grandfather's house. Stevens.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously it was held captive here, and he was basically in the same fucking subdivision as his grandpa.
Yep, and nobody knew. nobody knew.
Well, I mean,
that
I guess
those,
how could you?
Well, Parnell didn't
Just
know
shows
that
you how
that's who
small
he was,
the world
so
really is.
it was just a completely, yeah, exactly, small world, random sort of factoid. But yeah, so that's kind of fucked up, isn't it? The hunt and the search, and it's so close to home sometimes.
The story that you're setting up is an extremely ominous one,
Beautiful. Well done, sir.
right?
It most certainly is, because it does get worse. The first night, after some coaxing, Stephen admitted that he was molested the first night and full on raped 13 days later and for the next 7 years of his life.
Motherfucker. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I mean, I have to say this, but, well, okay. I'm gonna wait a second before I say this, just so there's an easily cuttable area of audio here.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck were they doing for 13 days? Were they like whining and dining him and taking him to fucking Chuck E. Cheese and shit? Like, if they were gonna rape him for the next 7 fucking years,
Not they, only Parnell.
Oh, Parnell, right. But if the
other guy was
gonna
around,
fucking
in and out.
rape this kid for the next 7 fucking years, what's that 13 days about?
It was. I'll tell you exactly what it was.
Please.
It is the biggest mind fuck I've ever heard of. And as a child, I had no idea that this kind of shit was even possible. You know, this guy had a superpower for real, and he
So
did
that was
it.
that was the conditioning phase.
Yes. And
Fuck
he
him,
did it
man. Fuck
by
him,
preying
fuck
on the
him.
child's psychology and using the right words. So he, as Stephen asks for the next week to go home, Kenneth Parnell proceeds to tell him that he's the minister, he's good friends with his parents. His parents they have too many children. They're poor, and they don't have enough money to take care of him, so they gave him away.
Wow.
Yes. And he
That's fucked up on
proceeds...
so many levels.
It's... Oh my god, it's detestable. For real. Then he proceeds to change the boy's name from Stephen Gregory Stainer to Dennis Gregory Parnell. He kept Gregory so the child... I think it's part of the conditioning as allowing the child to stay connected to himself in a way.
I would think that would be more of a mind fuck.
I don't want to. I don't want to presume to understand and to know the psychology because I'm not learned like that. Even though I kind of wish I was, because it fascinates the fuck out of me. But that would be my guess.
Right.
And he allowed him to keep his birth date as well.
Well, isn't he fucking generous?
Yeah. Again, I don't know if it's part of the. I don't know if that it would. I don't know. I don't know if it's good or bad. But so, yeah. If for the next 7 years, he enrolled the boy in several different schools all over California. The that area of California, which it was Merced, California.
Hmm.
um, and yeah,
How long did he wait before he enrolled him in a school? Because
that much.
he had to have thought for sure to himself, when this kid's in school with other kids, I can trust him that I'm going to come pick him up at the end of the day,
Yeah.
and there won't be, a squadron of squad cars there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there is a paper trail of records to, you know what I mean, to pinpoint some roundabout area, but that type of stuff isn't in the reports that the articles and stuff that you read about it. You'd have to really do some digging, PI style,
See,
to
that
find that type of
that
shit.
just pisses. I know you guys don't have kids, so you've never enrolled a kid in school. But holy shit, the paperwork you have got to fill out. You've got to have shot records,
You
birth
do now.
certificates, fucking proof of residency.
I was about
all
to
of
say,
this
did you have
shit.
to do that in the late 70s, early 80s, though?
No, but this is probably one of the reasons why. This
Yep.
fucked up guy right here. I'd like to dig him up and kick him in his fucking head.
I guarantee it was. I guarantee this was one of the main reasons, because this trial was so big, 7 years, and the boy pops up. So they made a book, they made a movie, they made subsequent documentaries and all kinds of shit. The boy was kind of a mini celebrity for a while, and I'll get into all that.
Quick
but-
question to you that you may not know the answer to, and that's fine if you don't. Was little Steven here, like, was he the first discovered, basically, of this kind of a child kidnapped and held prisoner for many years, and then found or something like was this a
with the
new
reconditioning
phenomenon?
and all that, or like
Because
a
I know
prisoner
that
having
things like
escaped.
this. I mean, I know that things like this have happened since, which means they probably happened before. But just the way that you're saying that he kind of, almost had a little bit of celebrity afterwards because of it, just leads me to believe that, the public hadn't seen anything like this before, kind of deal.
I don't know. I don't know that if there was this type of situation, whether it was a prison, just a simple abductee prisoner having escaped, or an actual reconditioned prisoner having just popped up. Because it is that he escaped, but you'll hear the rest of the story. Either way,
Right,
I'm not
right.
really
Yeah,
sure
go for
if
it.
this was the first, but I would imagine
Gotcha.
that it was the first majorly televised one of this nature.
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
It's kind of like Jack the Ripper was the first celebrity, quote unquote, serial killer, because he was the first one that got all the press.
Right.
Right.
And
Or
I know-
H.H. Holmes is considered the first American serial killer, even though he wasn't, just because he got the media around him so much.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I know.
Well, it was that fabulous mustache, though.
Yeah. There's always that to take into account. Sorry, I'm choking on myself here. I don't know.
Gross.
I know that there are plenty. I'm flexible. Anyway, I know that there have been plenty of child blah 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 cases before this one. So I believe that this one specifically was so serious because of the reconditioning that happened. That part is what I believe shocked everybody so much.
I really do. I appreciate your high sense of sensitivity by calling them child blah 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 cases. I think that's going to be a really good thing for our show.
But I did that just so that I didn't have to use the words. Sometimes I feel the words kind of are a little sharper than going, etc., etc.
Or yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So, in that 7 years, not only did Stephen get, or now Dennis, I think,
I don't like
his name.
that.
I
Can
don't
we call
either.
him? Can we call him Sphenis?
Stennis. Yeah, not only was he
The
moved
boy
around
formerly
to
known
schools,
as.
there you go. Formerly
Wait,
known
no,
as
wait.
Steven.
I certainly did not hear what Robert said. So
I said
Robert,
the boy
say it
formerly
again?
known as Steven.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
That's
Okay.
valid.
He's got those weird shaved fucking.
This
Oh
fucking,
my god.
this old man is creepy too. He's one of those ones who's so white that he's got a red nose. He's got this.
That's like. Hold on, never mind. That's like fucking Leonard Lake. He was the whitest man I've ever seen in my entire life, and that beard, not a help. If you have a weak chin, deal with it. Don't cover it up with a goddamn giant bushy beard, because you look like a fucking weirdo.
You look like a fucking weirdo. So, all right. Yeah, I guess part of the reason that Stephen bounced around to a couple of different schools over those years was because Parnell couldn't keep a fucking job, and he bounced around as well.
Well, that and it keeps him more isolated too. You know, so that way he doesn't
Yeah,
end up with long-term friends that are
Friends
like, hey, you
and-
want to
and
come
shit,
over
yeah.
for a sleepover?
That makes sense.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
It's like, hey, why isn't your dad putting his penis in your bum? And yeah, that was not a very nice thing to hear.
No,
but
no.
Guess what? That's what he was going through every single night of his goddamn life for 7 years.
I believe that.
So,
You know, and the conditioning was so strong. It's actually said that Parnell took a few jobs where he actually had to travel. So he would leave the boy home by himself
wow.
for extended periods.
Wow.
Yeah, and Stephen actually later spoke up, and when he was telling his story, he said that he realized now that there were tons of times, millions of times,
He
that
could've
he
just
could
walked
have
away?
just walked away. Yeah, and not even had to try to escape, and just done whatever he wanted. And it wouldn't have been a big deal, but the conditioning was so strong that he honestly felt he didn't know what to do if he did walk away, because he didn't have a family to go to, and B, he thought it was legal. He thought they gave him away for real. Like,
Right.
No.
He totally bought into the Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah.
But is that even Stockholm Syndrome? Like,
Ye-
Stockholm Syndrome is when you start to sympathize with your captor, not when your captor pummels you with so many crazy lies.
Well, I don't
that
know the second
you're
story, but you
forced
had the
to
lady.
believe.
You had the lady who was a willing participant in murder. She was locked under the dude's bed for years.
What?
He would like put her in the bed.
Well, that's just like a whole gimp situation, though. That's a whole different.
Yeah,
bag
but
of
she was
peanuts.
actively participating in murder. She would like go out and get other women and bring them back to him.
That's a bag of peanuts of a different color. We'll get back to that.
Ooh,
Well,
we
yeah,
better.
circus peanuts, probably.
I want to hear all of that.
I kind of really do too. But I want to hear the rest of this now, though.
So,
If it's fucked up weird, I'm your man.
that's awesome, and that's why we like you so much, sir.
And that is the business card I'm making up for you very shortly now. That is what it'll say. If you want weird, I'm your man. And it'll have you, like, pointing at yourself like one of those old, like, goddamn giant-headed Pep Boy things. It's going to be good.
I think that should be the next t-shirt. I'm fucked up, I'm weird, but hey, I'm interesting.
Oh, shit. Well, just super quick, Chris.
Uh-huh.
We're about to come up with T-shirts, I guess. Like, we're gonna do merch, kinda. So just if you were ever gonna email us about fucking anything ever, the fuck you want on a shirt?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. That maybe, you know, that was our little sliver of ginseng on our tongues there.
I say we get Chris to cover his ears, I'll cover my eyes, and you cover your mouth.
The only thing I'm covering is my nuts, because if I'm going anywhere near you guys,
That's fucking great. So, moving right along, I think t-shirts are going to be badass, and I will rock one all over the place. I want one of our actual original logo. I don't know how difficult that's going to be on a fucking screen
Not
print,
very.
because that's a ton of colors. But
oh, we're good. We're good.
all right. So, yeah, I guess for Parnell's early life, actually, it is kind of to be noted that he was actually arrested for sodomizing a young boy in 1951 and impersonating a police officer. He had a false deputy sheriff's
Wow.
badge and sentenced to 4 years. And it said, it says, while receiving treatment at Norwalk State Hospital, he cut a lock from a clothes room window and escaped, staying free until February of the following year when he finally was apprehended in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So he's
Jesus.
kind of a slick motherfucker in a way.
And this
And
guy was
this is
still
back.
able to get a job at a state. Is Yosemite a state or national park?
Yes.
National park, yeah. That's a
And this
national
guy
I was
was
gonna
park.
still able to get a job.
I was going to say earlier, now we have another type of human being to throw in right alongside the Nazis. Do not trust national park rangers.
Oh man, yeah. This story is like only halfway done. It's gonna. Anyway, let me get to that.
Good, because we were halfway done with the show, so this is
Sweet, perfect timing. All right, so looks like February 14th, which was Valentine's Day. That's interesting.
Which is a day for lovers. like we all know, yes.
1980. Parnell, having gotten rid of the first accomplice, um, Irvin Edward Murphy, Parnell has now kind of somehow, I don't know how the fuck he pulled this off, but somehow he has befriended and now talked one of Steven's schoolboy acquaintances into helping him. So,
Well, it's like, how did Dean Coral get the two boys that helped him do all that fucked up shit?
Yeah,
well,
I
I mean,
don't-
he did that with drugs and money.
yeah,
but
yeah, this was a totally different situation. It doesn't say at all how he could have talked this kid into doing this, but this kid Sean Poorman.
kids are trusting.
Yeah,
Kids are
that's
trusting, and the one
doing,
thing I'll say about that, just super quick, is that, you know, if my childhood best friend's dad would even lightly try to convince me to do something like this, I'm like, well, Johnny's my best friend. Like, I mean, and that's his dad. So, like, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, of course. Because I'm stupid and I'm tiny, and my brain is also very small and unexperienced in being fucked over.
and he's probably still using the minister game. You know, I just need one of your friends to come back so I can tell them about
every
God.
time I go to Toys R Us, I go to the board game aisle, not only to look for my weekly games of life, board games, but I always ask, I'm like, where's the minister game? And they're like, the last one went out this morning. I'm like, fuck, man, I've been trying for a long time. I'm just not getting the minister game, man.
Yeah,
See, the scary part is this guy could have actually been a priest in the Catholic Church.
yeah, I don't doubt that.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I have a feeling he's a bit more monogamous.
He's kind of he's kind of weird looking, but he probably could have pulled off.
Was that a
the
low
look.
blow? Was that a low blow to Christianity I just threw?
I
Fucking
liked it.
good.
I
That
liked it.
joke worked on so many levels. It was beautiful. It really was. I just had to take a
Thanks.
second to admire that because that was beautiful.
Well
Oh,
done.
I'm in top form tonight, motherfuckers.
Well
That's a
done,
fucking
sir.
Bible fact.
So, moving right along. Yeah, so it Valentine's Day in 1980, Parnell got Sean Poorman to help him abduct a little 5-year-old kid named Timothy White, and yeah, little Timmy was the breaking point though, because Stephen wasn't cool with that. He figured he didn't want to see another child go through what he went through. So one night, Stephen decided to, while Parnell was at work as a security guard or some shit somewhere, Stephen grabbed Timothy and he just walked out. And he hitchhiked back to where Timothy lived, where he was abducted, which was in Ukiah, California. And he just walked. He left Timothy hiding. He told Timothy to hide across the street, and he walked into the police office, and told them that he didn't tell him who he was. He told them that he rescued a boy from being kidnapped, Timothy White, who lived here. And when the cops were like, I don't see a boy, and what? And who the fuck are you? Then he finally said, okay, well, I guess this is not going to be as easy as I thought it was. They're not just going to rush out there and go get Timmy and everything will be okay. So
that's why you send Timmy in with just a note pinned to his shirt.
Right. So the first thing he said was, oh, no, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm a dumbass. I got that completely backwards. That is exactly what he did. He sent Timmy in to say that I was a boy kidnapped and I escaped. And then they asked, well, they saw fucking what's his name hiding across the street and asked, how'd you get there? And then went and got him. And that was the first thing he said was, well, I know my first name is Steven. So
now, how much of a mind fuck is that he wanted to just get rid of the little kid, but he was going to go back?
Yeah.
If the police hadn't noticed him outside, he was going to go back.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was just thinking. And I know he said that it's because he didn't want to see another little boy go through what he had to go through for so long. But is there any inkling whatsoever, even just in your mind, I don't care if it's in, popular conception of it, that he was maybe jealous of the new boy? Like maybe
I was
that
thinking
he
that too.
that he had become accustomed to this relationship with this man and didn't want to share his relationship, and that's fucked up to ask, but
no, that's a psychology thing, and that might actually be part of the case. He never admitted to that, I don't believe, but that might actually be part of it, because when it comes down to the way he was treated, aside from the sexual abuse and stuff like that, he wasn't being, like, he never admitted that he was being
like beaten and
stuff like that. Yeah, it was. He was actually allowed to come and go as he pleased. He was allowed to drink alcohol, smoke cigarettes, and smoke weed since he was like 10 years old.
He was the coolest boy on the block.
Exactly.
He just had to have Daddy Parnell's dingleberry
naughty
in
bits.
His. Oh, God damn it.
Yep.
And see, I can't make that sentence cute.
So
anymore.
think about that, though. As a child, and as from 7 years old to 14 years old, in that little time frame, being the coolest kid on the block is kind of a big fucking deal. And
yeah, but getting butt fucked every night is also a pretty big fucking deal.
Yeah, but I'm not trying to downplay that in any way, shape, or form. What I'm saying is, I know how important popularity is when you're a kid. I know that. But it's so fucked up to think about that being even a possible factor.
Yeah.
But I think it might have played a part, and I'll tell you why very shortly. So, yeah, within hours, Parnell was arrested. He was tried for kidnapping Stainer and White, but not for sexual abuse. He was convicted of both kidnappings and served 5 years of a 7-year sentence.
Jesus fucking
Edward
Christ.
Murphy.
I was actually really hoping that you were about to say he was kidnapped, because that would have just been so juicy.
No, they actually say he wasn't brought up on sexual abuse because he didn't get around to sexually abusing Timothy, and Stephen didn't admit to it at first, as well as they wanted to. There's that whole thing I was talking about, how the lawyers fucking play certain games. You know what I mean? And they'll leave certain charges off so they can make something else stick a certain way and all that kind of shit. I think it's kind of fucked up. And it comes up a lot where some families feel like they're being shorted their justice because sometimes killers aren't brought up on certain charges. And I think that's...
5 years for 2 kidnapping charges?
Right.
And one is a 7-year-long kidnapping.
Imprisonment.
You can get 5 years for being in an argument with your girlfriend and just touching her.
Yeah.
Well...
Or even her saying that you touched her. You don't even have to touch her. She could just call the police and say, yeah, he touched me. He pushed me.
Yeah. But dudes can do that too, first of all. But anyway, And it's all fucked up. You can go to jail for fucking 5 years for being caught with a goddamn half a joint in your cigarette pack. The legal system's fucked. But I do see the strategy in dropping certain things from charges.
Sometimes,
cases,
yes.
And
It's all
going with
about
others
that winning
because
percentage.
But when a man only gets 7
well,
years...
it's not all about the winning percentage. It's about we can try him for both, but the evidence is weak on this one side and it's super strong on this other side. That might be the lighter side that it's super strong, but if we drop the weak evidence side, we are going to fucking nail this dude 100% for sure. He will go to prison.
Mm-hmm.
If we try both, there's a chance that we will look like we don't know what the fuck we're talking about and he will go free.
Well, I mean, when he only gets 7 years, you might want to think your strategy's off a little bit, especially when there was a period in there somewhere where Parnell actually had a girlfriend live in the house with him and Steven for a while, and it was said later that she also sexually abused him. And
fucking Christ,
for
man.
about 18 months is when she lived in the house. And Sean Porman received a term in a juvenile work camp. That was the kid, Steven's friend, who helped kidnap Timothy. Barbara Mathias didn't get anything at all because that just wasn't part of the thing. She was never charged with any violation or cooperated with the authorities or anything like that. And the dude Edward Murphy, let's see, he was sentenced to 5 years and paroled after 2. A good thing is, though, later on, well on down the road, this motherfucker being just an old ass man now, 71 years old, in shitty health, being taken care of by a fucking nurse that comes over to his crib because he's got diabetes and emphysema and shit. In
and she's
January
big and fat and
2003,
Jamaican, and he's always bitching about how she smells and her food fucking makes his house smell terrible. But he's really just a racist.
Probably, yeah. But he did try to coerce her into purchasing a 4-year-old boy for him with $500. He wanted to give he wanted to buy he was going to buy a birth certificate for $100, and $400 was going to be given to her upon the completion of the transaction. He wanted a boy to be received on January 3rd, 2003, and because I don't know, $100 for a birth certificate, I don't know what kind of people he's connected to, but anyway,
I was just about to say it's amazing how garbage people seem to find other garbage people so effortlessly.
Right? And you're an old ass man.
Whoa.
You're still asking for shit like this.
You spend time in prison, you meet all kinds of people. You got to figure
True.
5 years. He met counterfeiters, rapists, murderers.
He was a child molester, though. Like, how is he not the target of?
He wasn't.
attack?
He wasn't in jail for child molesting. He was in jail for kidnapping.
Yeah.
That's actually
completely
true.
different.
But the story was really big, so I imagine people knew what the hell was happening. Yeah, he specifically requested that the child have a clean rectum. He didn't say exactly what he was going to do, but that's what he said. A 4-year-old boy with a clean rectum is what he wanted. For $500.
See, you can't fix people like that. You just have to take them out, shoot them in the head, and be done with them.
Well, so she knew, his caretaker knew of his record, and she told the cops and agreed to help set up a sting and get him. And so now he's serving 25 years to life.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Just please tell me in the sting that the part of the 4-year-old boy was played by a cop that was kneeling down with shoes under his knees.
They found a rookie cop with a baby face.
Like when, when fucking
a la Dorf.
When Damon Wayans did the head detective. That shit was hilarious. All right, so
That's just all I need to lighten this mood a little bit, because honestly, this is the most skin crawling, fucking uncomfortable I've ever felt doing an episode of this show.
it gets cool though.
I spent almost 2.5 weeks writing the goddamn Junko episode.
Right.
And this is
Look
is
at
the
the
most
difference.
uncomfortable I've felt.
He got 5 years for kidnapping 2 kids, but yet he just wants to purchase a kid, and he gets 25 to life.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Well, that
I
was a
guarantee
3 strike
you.
sort of thing, though, in California. That was his 3rd strike.
Okay, because I was gonna say the fact that he specifically requested that the boy have a clean butthole, probably could have finally pushed the other kinds of charges to the forefront of the case. But I also have no idea what he was even charged with. I just know what he.
See,
was
California
sentenced
don't
with.
get much right, but that 3 strikes you're out is actually pretty good.
Well,
I'm surprised
no,
they
it's-
still have
it's-
that on the books. Actually,
It's not though.
Now-
because that 3 strikes is. What if your 3rd strike is fucking jaywalking?
No,
you-
it's 3 felonies.
Yeah,
3
yeah,
felonies.
well.
You'd have to be jaywalking butt naked and pissing on a cop car.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, felony drug possession, up until very recently, was not very much. So there are people in jail for a very long time for walking around with weed 3 times.
That's true. But this
It's
story
a-
is
Yeah,
still
but then
only
they let
half
the weed
over.
people out when they legalized it.
I don't believe they did because they were still
Oh, that's some
charged with
bullshit.
a crime.
They
But,
should. They should definitely
that's
open
why
doors
I-
and let them people out.
I've always thought that the 3 strikes you're out was just laziness on the part of any kind of authority, because I mean, am I completely fucking mad by thinking that each crime should be taken as its individual fucking crime,
Well, when
and
you-
not lumped in with
No.
some other shit just because there's an arbitrary number?
No, but when you think of how many sheep there really are, most people are not that fucking clever or inventive or original or anything like that. It's very much a numbers game in that case. But still, this story is only half over. Let's not debate for too long.
Okay.
Moving on, September 17th, 1989. Actually, no, I'm not even going to go to that point yet. So when Stephen came home, not only was he kind of received as a local celebrity, but one of the reasons that Parnell wasn't charged for the molestation is because, or they speculated that the lawyers didn't want to put the family through the taboo that would have come along with that at that time, in the country and all that.
Right.
And yeah, and the lawyers also wanted to play another game, so with the sentencing. So that wasn't part of his celebrity until the book and the movie actually came out and that kind of stuff, and then everybody found out about that, but it wasn't a big deal after that point. So anyway, when he came home, though, it was kind of fucked up because he was now, for the last 7 years, allowed to do whatever he wanted, curse, fucking smoke, drink, come and go as he pleased, and none of the other kids were ever allowed to do that because the family was now broken from having lost a child, never knowing if they were going to get him back or what happened to him, live or dead, and but still very religious. So being only one older brother in the family, he was now charged with watching his sisters all the time and being doing more chores and all this kind of shit. Now that Steven shows up and he's this unruly little bastard, which is what he's been conditioned to be, it causes conflict. And Carrie, which is what the older brother's name is, Carrie Stainer, makes mention that he felt neglected because everybody was so worried about Steven when he was a child. But now he's got a fucked up background too. I'm not going to go into it because it's going to make the episode way too long. You guys can do your own research if you really want to know about this guy a little more. But I'm going to tell his story now real quick. So he had conflict with Steven when he came home. They got into a bunch of fights, blah, blah, blah. Carrie was the oldest. He thought he was going to fucking rule the roost. Now he'd been, keeping everything up for so long. But that did not happen. Steven eventually found a girlfriend and moved out or whatever. I don't know. It was... Anyway, September 17th, 1989, Steven actually died in a motorcycle accident. So...
Wow. Well, live fast, die young, leave a
I guess, man.
terribly, terribly fucking abused corpse, I suppose.
It's a fucking just a hell of a tragic fucking life. Could have been a hell of a lot worse, I suppose, but it's pretty crazy. So yeah, shortly thereafter, the brother, Carrie Stainer, who had been in and out of hospitals a few times for mental anger issues and mental what you call it treatment. Nothing too serious, but he did have this weird habit of getting so angry that he would pull the hair out of the top of his head. So he was wearing a hat for years, and you can see him in with a baseball cap and a suit on in the videos of Steven when he's being shot, cameras and the press and all that type of shit.
Right.
You can see him
And
standing
that's
off in the
because
background.
he's got a weird bald spot. So
He's hiding a bald spot for years through high school and all that shit. And he's always got this fucking weird brooding look on his face and shit when you see him in the videos of Steven, because Steven has this weird smile on his face. And it's funny that well, it's not funny, but it digresses back to what we were talking about earlier, in that Steven actually made mention later on, years later, before he died though, obviously, that he wondered, with all the issues that it caused, that his conditioning wound up causing between him and his brother and his family and all that, he wondered if it would have been a better idea for him just to stay with Parnell. If it would have been better on everybody, including him, if he would have just sent Timmy off in a cab or something.
Jesus shit, man. And what a thing to fucking ponder.
I know.
Continue, please, because I'd rather not ponder it.
Heard that.
It's fucking too sad.
So, yeah.
Actually, I think it was kind of a break that Steven died, because he definitely probably would have turned into an abuser.
I mean, there's nothing from his girlfriend or anything like that said he was an asshole or anything. I imagine he didn't stop the drinking or the smoking weed and probably progressed on to other drugs. I imagine that was part of his lifestyle, such as the motorcycle
the one thing that immediately doesn't make me discredit, what Rob just said, is that his experience of being raped as a child turned into one of complete and utter normalcy, just everyday life, and he was still living this pretty sweet life, being the goddamn greaser kid of the neighborhood that everybody fucking wanted to be, the Fonz and shit, and so
Plus,
I think that's the one thing.
I mean, that was his father figure. He probably actually loved him.
And that's why my question earlier is did he love him as more than just hey dad, what's happening, or
it might have been that up until the point where he realized what was going to happen to the other boy, because I know that was he did mention that it was that he battled with himself for a little while about whether or not he could do anything about it. And then he finally said, fuck it, no, I have to get this kid out of here. This can't happen. So, yeah, he was probably fighting with himself about whether or not he could be okay with what was happening to him for years.
Right.
And was using the escape of the smoking weed and drinking and, all that kind of shit, being the cool kid as his escape from it all. So, I mean,
it's all punishment and reward, man. It's all Skinner box shit. It's getting him to do what you need him to do, and then rewarding him when he acts appropriately when he does it, and punishing him accordingly when he doesn't.
How many different ways can you break a mind, though? I mean,
I'm guessing there's probably,
it depends on the development of the psychology of the mind you're trying to break.
Probably more ways to break a child's mind than there is to leave your lover.
Yeah,
and there was 50 ways to do that. So
I guarantee it.
Probably at least 56.
At least 56.
You mean like out the back, Jack?
He's also a client. So
always add 6 when it comes to good facts, a good number of facts from this show. So, yeah, moving on. Coming back to Carrie. Carrie was a handyman in the Yosemite Park, in that same area of California the version, the area of, yeah. Oh no is kind of right. Um, he, yeah. So there was this lady named Carol Sund and her teenage daughter
Okay.
Julie, and their teenage
I don't like where this
traveling.
is going.
No, you don't. Their teenage traveling companion Silvina Peloso. They were touring colleges and about to be on their way back home when they decided that they wanted to go see the park for a day, stay in a hotel, and then meet the husband back at the airport to go home. They were touring the colleges for the girls, right? So,
You
That's
can
why
just
I
hear
don't
the
do
ominous
tourist shit,
music
Robert.
starts in the back.
But that's why I don't do touristy shit. Because shit, like, I don't even know what's about to happen. I have a pretty good feeling that I'm not going to feel fucking good about it.
Oh,
no.
you don't know this story? Oh, yeah. Okay, go
I've
ahead, Chris.
heard about I've seen shit about national park kidnappings and murders that go on, that many of them, and most go unreported and things like that. And so I know how fucked up it can get. So that's why I
Oh
don't
no,
know.
it's one of my great escapes to go drive through the Smoky National Park. You can just hop
Well,
off the
you're
trail
a
and go
full grown
walking.
you're a full grown man that just looks so fucking nondescript that you're most likely more invisible than man.
Then a
So-
This is very
fucking
true.
target,
This is very true.
right?
People take pictures of me thinking it's Sasquatch.
I still say that you're lying to me, and you really are my cousin Kevin.
Dude. Oh man, the carpet is real. So yeah, so he was the handyman at the Cedar Lodge Motel in El Portal, which is just outside of the Highway 140 Arch Rock entrance to Yosemite National Park. And he was there.
Beautiful drive.
I'm sure it is. I'm sure it is. It's fucking, yeah, the mountains up there are nothing like they are in Tennessee and fucking Pennsylvania. Those are like big hills. Yeah, I don't know. Certain parts of the Rockies and shit like that. Or what is it, the Smokies that's in, yeah, it's the Smokies that's in Tennessee.
Yes, the Smokies.
Yeah, certain parts
Yeah,
of
they're
that are
nowhere
real
near
mountains,
the size of the Rockies.
but nowhere near the size, yeah. So, yeah, man, so they were touring the park. They were doing the thing, and there's tons of pictures of them enjoying the shit out of themselves. And they're in their hotel room when a knock at the door comes, and it's a handyman. And like I said, I'm skipping over a lot of this story to make it fit all into this one episode, so you guys can go back
Okay.
and do your own fucking research or watch the documentaries if you want. But Rob clearly knows this story, and did you know, though, that it was part of this other one? Did you know about the
Yes.
connection?
Yes.
Oh, fine.
That's what makes it so fucked up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
And that's why I
well,
said
well,
Steven
wait,
definitely
wait.
could have turned into an abuser. Definitely.
Okay, yeah. Well, we're gonna leave it there because I think Chris has a really good streamlined narrative going on right now because I'm quite literally riveted by this, and I need to hear it. I'm sorry. I've never been so
Sorry.
enraptured
Continue.
by something Chris has been telling me, and I'm not yelling at you, Rob, or nothing. I'm just telling you to shut the fuck up so Chris can talk.
Rule number one.
Rule number one.
Love you guys.
Corporal privates. Do your job. Shut up. Anyway, no. So yeah, and I'm skipping over some stuff. There's parts of the investigation that just would make it longer than it has to be. So anyway,
That's fine.
what? So the knock at the door of the hotel room. It's the handyman. Everybody's in their jammies and shit, doing girl stuff, and he
Pillow
claims
fighting, makeovers,
yeah, bullshit like that.
giggling about boys, and
He claims that he's got to
Yeah, I've been
fix
there.
something, like there's a leak or some shit like that in the faucet. And at first she doesn't let him in, but he uses some kind of weird trick where he makes it seem like it's happening in other rooms, and like, oh, sticks his head, like looks down the hallway. Oh, I'll be there as soon as I take care of this room, Miss whatever. You know what I mean? So it kind of throws her off, and she lets him in.
Are these people fucking Jedi? Like, what is this?
Right, slick.
These are not
Fucking
the
slick
droids
shit.
you were looking for.
Apparently, though, when you dig back into Carrie's story, not only was he fucking mentally fucked up from childhood, he apparently did have some fantasies of murdering women, and he didn't admit to any of that until he was older, until he was busted
And had already murdered women?
Yes. He really wanted to be a cartoonist, and he was actually pretty damn good when it came down to it. But
Is he still alive in jail? Because we could ask him to draw some shirts for us.
He is. He actually is. He's serving life because California got rid of whatever death penalty that he was under at the time. So, yeah, he, after being let in, he proceeds to lock the door, attack, and just slit, I believe he slit a throat of the mother, Carol Sund. Then proceeded to wrestle down and also kill the 15-year-old friend. What was her name?
Traveling companion.
Yeah, what the fuck? I forget her name. Something Peloso. She's like Latin girl. Silvina. Sorry.
There it is.
And this was his account of it. You know, as the investigation unfolded, what really happened was that they were all missing for weeks, and he took the wife, the Carol's wallet, and he drove it about 100 miles away, and he dropped it off somewhere as if to throw off the trail that maybe they went that way. And you know, so he's trying to outsmart them the whole time.
It was basically, hey, what's that over there? And then running away while they turn their head.
Right. So he winds up keeping the daughter Julie alive for a little while. He somehow piles the mother and the traveling friend Silvina into the trunk. They're dead already, and somehow he winds up getting them out of the hotel lodge. Even if they're outside doors, it's still ballsy as fuck, and piling them into the trunk and driving with a live abducted victim away as well in her jammies, probably not looking very happy about what's going on. So super ballsy. Right. This dude is just doing whatever the fuck he wants. Later on, there is a hiker in the woods way into Yosemite that finds the charred remains of the car. He says he didn't find any bodies. He called cops. Cops show up and pry open the trunk to find the very charred remains of the wife and traveling companion. It took them another couple of weeks to get proper DNA back to confirm that it was them. It was pretty horrendous. Like this was highly televised. So there was a lot of speculation, and the whole time Carrie is helping out the investigation in his own weird way. He's not. They looked at him as a suspect for a minute, but he has a reason, you know, to be everywhere in the park at any time.
Right.
So yeah, his basically his story was good for the time being. He kind of slipped right under the radar and just did his thing. And it wasn't until a while later that there was this girl named Joey Ruth Armstrong. She was actually 26. She was the hippie type. and she lived in a cabin on inside the park. She worked for a separate company that did tours.
Okay.
He, being the handyman all over the park, saw her go back to her cabin, knew that she was alone, and says he couldn't help himself. So he went over there and tried to play the same trick, and she didn't fucking fall for it. So he had to fight her. And
There's one thing that hippie chicks are good at.
yeah, man.
Is it's not. They won't accept your stupid lines. You know, your clothes look great. Oh yeah, would they look better on your floor, motherfucker? Walk on.
Right.
Oof.
Now there was this weird thing that happened before Joey and Ruth was handled. We'll say he drew a map to the car, and the police didn't really they didn't. Oh, sorry, no, I'm sorry. He drew a map to Julie, the third victim, the 15-year-old daughter. After they found
Right.
the car, then he drew the
And the
map
charred remains.
to find Julie. And it said at the top, or it said somewhere on the piece of paper, had a lot of fun with this one. Now,
And he like hands it over in person or some shit.
no, see, that's the thing. There's a documentary that states there were these two guys that were picked up, in. They had the map. They found the map or something like that. I don't remember specifically, and this is why I really need to finish my fucking notes, because I forget shit like this, and it sucks. I shouldn't have forgotten this.
He drew the map because they were being charged with the 2 murders. They were looked at hard, and he couldn't give up the boasting. He didn't want these 2 guys to take any credit for his work. Pretty
There you
much
go.
is why he dropped the map off
Wow.
to the police. Like, no, these 2 aren't the ones. It was me who did it, kind of thing.
What a fucking cocksucker.
Robot saved the
Well,
day with that
you
one.
got to
Thank
think, the whole time he never got the attention. It was always Steven. I mean,
Right.
Chris mentioned him
He-
in his
he
ball
wanted the
cap
spotlight.
looking, like he was in mourning
Mhm.
because the spotlight was never on him.
Well,
But it also didn't deserve to be for any reason until he became a monster. So
now if you
But yeah, he
listen
just
to
couldn't give up credit.
if you listen to his sisters and female cousin tell stories about Carrie when he was a boy, being in charge of them and such, supposed to be watching
fuck,
over
I know,
them. He was creepy about
I
it.
kind of don't want to hear this. Yeah. Okay. Finish the story, because we are starting to get to where we need to be.
All right. So anyway, yeah, they wind up. They follow the map or whatever and find Julie. That one, she was just badly decomposed. That one wasn't that huge. Then later on, he finds this hippie chick who gives him the fight of his fucking life. He thought it was going to be easy. She put up a big ass fight, and because of that, he didn't have time to clean up the evidence. So when the cops showed up, they could tell everything that happened, but they couldn't find Joey. Wasn't until a few days later that a head came floating down the river, and
Oh Jesus fuck.
yeah, they identified it as Joey and Ruth. He wound up getting busted. What is it? Let's see. They were interviewing a bunch of people. He wound up giving himself away by basically backtracking on something that he said. And when the FBI was called in, that's who they it says upon meeting him, the FBI agent Jeff Renneck asked Stainer if he had ever seen the movie Billy Jack, noting Stainer's resemblance to the film's hero. Initially, he said that he had never seen it, but about 90 minutes later, after building rapport during the drive to the FBI headquarters in Sacramento from the nudist resort. Now, he tried to escape for a little while, and he drove about 160 miles away and checked himself into this nudist resort, and they caught his ass. No big deal. He didn't fight at all. So on his way back, he did make mention. What does it say? That Stainer was surprised that surprised Renek by reciting several of Billy Jack's lines. So they had already had him. But anyway, he they found, let's see, when they found Ruth, they saw his truck, and that's how they kind of knew what was up. So yeah, man, the trial and conviction happens, and yada yada yada. He pleads not guilty by reason of insanity, although they couldn't make that stick. That didn't happen.
Right.
They noted all his prior mental illnesses and stuff like that, and he didn't.
Well, he should have pled. He should have pled not guilty by reason of jealousy.
Yeah, right.
So maybe that would have held a little bit more water, I suppose.
The final ridiculousness. Now, see, and this is why they were trying to make insanity stick, because he wasn't giving up a confession at first until he decided to ask for a movie deal of his story. He wanted his story to be told. And when the cops didn't give in and say, yeah, okay, sure, yeah, your story needs to be told, then he decided to say, okay, well, I'll make a full confession in exchange for child pornography. Specifically...
Really?
Yes, specifically murder victims. He wanted pictures of child murder victims to...
It's like he's thinking to himself, what's the worst thing I can ask for?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
What's gonna make me the biggest piece of shit?
So they use
dead babies that I can whack it to. That's it.
Mm-hmm. A dead baby, yeah. So, yeah, they tried, though, and it didn't work. He got 4 counts of first-degree murder in 2001. In 2002, during the penalty phase of his trial, he was sentenced to death and thereafter entered the housing in San Quentin, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's still there. He got fucking forever. He'll be there for
all right,
quite
fucking
a while.
robot. It's up to the corporal to just get in touch with this dude. Don't ask him anything yet. If he's some kind of, I don't know, like a douche or something, by chance, then I don't want to deal with him. But if he's cool or whatever,
I want to see some of his artwork. I want him to make T-shirts for the show. Now, I wanted to make one last mention that because this one being a twofer is pretty weird, but it's not the only one. It's not the only case that is a twofer. In actuality, you remember our good friend Henry Lee Lucas?
Mm-hmm.
He actually has a distant cousin that also became a serial killer by the name of Bobby Joe Long. And
Bobby Joe Long. That's either the perfect AAA baseball player's name or a serial killer,
right?
Or the perfect porn star name.
See, perfect.
No, that's just too on the nose.
Sounds like a female country singer to me.
And that is the name of a porn movie, though. Too on the nose.
Huh. Didn't know that.
I don't know if it is, but it should be. So that was fucking awesome. The only thing I learned today, and I'm not just rushing because we're getting long.
It worked out perfectly.
This is completely serious. The only thing I learned today is that some fucking how, my belief in my trust of humanity as a whole is still not wavering, but my belief in the fact that humans as individuals are never to be taken at face value until proven has just quadrupled. fuck, man, people you don't know are fucking scary because you don't know them.
Yeah.
Even if they seem really cool.
You have
Like,
no idea.
maybe their name's Jason, and like they have this cool podcast that you like, and like, you just want to really come, you just go hang out at his house for like a weekend or whatever, and like, maybe just cut the lawn while you're there.
He'll
Who knows
introduce
what'll
you to
happen?
the dungeon. It'll be cool.
We can't have basements here. You know that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be underground. It can be a dungeon.
It should be though. It's not. Then it's not a dungeon. It's just an annex.
Fine.
So, Robbie, what hath thou learned? Even though thou hath already learned this whole situation ago.
It just amazes me. Like I said, how many ways can you break a mind? I mean, would Carrie have been a serial killer if Steven was never taken, or if Steven would have never came back? But it's one of those things where he was damaged already, but did it push him over the edge? Gone,
apparently so. But yeah, I mean that is one of the great mysteries of our goddamn stupid jelly sacks in our heads, isn't it? Is there's so much that can go wrong, and it's such a fragile little fucking piece of machinery.
Indeed.
But it doesn't go wrong for most people ever.
Right. But the ones
so
that it
it's
does.
Like,
until you have that one falling down moment where they stopped serving breakfast 2 minutes ago at McDonald's.
Well, I mean, and you know what? That's why they have all day breakfast now. So
that's probably one of the reasons. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Corporate has it on file.
That movie's like 30 years old. They should have did that 30 years ago. That would have been a great promotion.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I subsist solely on Egg McMuffin sandwiches and Red Bull. That's it.
Nice.
2 for $4.
Diabetes, here we come.
On that wonderful, wonderful ethnic voice that Robert just gave us, I will have to say that it's been, God damn you, Chris. I might have my first nightmare in fucking 15 years tonight about this.
Dude, this one fucked me up so bad watching this movie, dude. I was his age while I was watching this movie. I was like 7 or 8. I had no idea that people were capable of such fucking horrors. And then I didn't even know about Carrie until recently. Like, that was just a fucking bonus. When I found out about that, I'm like, oh, that's my episode. I'm doing it. Like,
I've been Jason Rambo, and you just listened to See No, Hear No, Speak No.
Yeah. I, as well, have been Chris... His Majesty Trismegistus the Third.com with the UFOs, conspiracies, and god damn moitas.
And I'm not going to do it all cheerful. It's just and me.
And
rubble.
I had names ready for you too today. I really did. But I'm gonna hold them for next time because
just don't hold it too tightly. That's how you get blood loss.
I just don't think
shake it more than twice. You're playing with it.
All right, fucking Rob Cat. Y'all have a wonderful... holy fuck, I just said y'all. That's how scrambled this has my brain.
You said it's super twangy, too.
Y'all come back now.
Fucking goddamn country bumpkin bullshit.
Well, I hope you kids enjoy.
Thanks for listening, kids. It's time for Countdown.
It is.
3, 2, 1. Sweet dreams.
Good night, kids.
Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry. Be